4.1 is going to introduce us to some ideas of divisibility. Before I really get started, we're going to have to go over some definitions and vocabulary. First off, there is a new notation that a lot of people haven't seen before. So the notation is to say B, when you take a vertical line, A. This means B divides A. Is what we have right here. B divides A. This vertical line literally just means divide. So with that, there's a whole bunch of vocabulary that comes along. So we could say B divides A. We could also say B is a factor of A. So if B divides A, B is also a factor of A. We could say that B is a divisor of A. So factor and divisor are synonyms for one another. On the other hand, switch it around, we could say A is a multiple of B and A is divisible by B. These are really easy to confuse, and you need to think about it in terms of a real life example. So we could use 3 and 12. 3 is a factor of 12. If we were to make a factor tree for 12, which we're going to work on doing in a little bit, I'd break that down. I could say 12 is 4 times 3. 3 is a factor of 12. We could also say 3 is a divisor of 12 because 3 divides 12. 3 is the smaller number. When we're dividing things, that's what we're dealing with. On the other hand, multiple usually means you're getting larger if you have multiple of something. So 12 is the multiple of 3. Think back to your multiplication tables that you learned when you were in like 3rd grade. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 4 is 12. Those are multiplying. So 12 is the multiple. We also can say 12 is divisible by 3. Make sure you get these words down. All right, next we have to know our divisibility rules. And yes, you're going to have to learn the rules. And a lot of them you already know though. So the rule for 2, you know that. If it's an even number, or if the last digit or the ones place is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, then it's divisible by 2. So this one you already know. I'm going to skip around a little bit. 5, you also already know. Any number that ends in 0 or 5. Think about counting by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So this one we know. And 10 has to end in 0. So I know 37 isn't divisible by 10 because it's in 7, but 30 is. Now I'm going to look at some of the ones that might be new. So I'm going to first look at 3. 3 says you have to add up the digits. So you add up all the digits. If that new sum is divisible by 3, the big number is divisible by 3. So here's an example of 462. 3 partners with 9. We look down here, the rule for 9. You add up the digits. If the sum's divisible by 9, the original number was divisible by 9. Next, we've got 4. 4 is going to pair with 8. 4 and 8, you do not add the numbers. This is a common mistake that a lot of people make. 3 and 9, they're kind of new and weird, so we focus on those, but 4 and 8, do not add them. You just look at the last 2 digits. So in this number, 12,624, you just look at the 10s and the 1s place, so just the number 24. If it works for 24, it works for the whole number. For 8, you have to look at the last 3 digits. Again, no adding, do not add. So if it works for 168, then it works for 7,168. Doesn't matter what comes past that hundreds place. And the 4 doesn't matter what comes past the tens place. And then last we have the rule for 6. 6 means it just has to work for 2 and 3 because 2 times 3 is 6. So that's pretty easy to remember. So 2, 5, and 10 you already know. 3 and 9 go together. 4 and 8 go together, and then you have the rule for 6.